2, 1. All right, hello. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome, everyone. Let me go live on Instagram. Thank you all for being here. Welcome to another episode of Deportation Defense Live. I'm really excited to be with you here today. It is the 15th of November of 2022. Can you believe it? We are like 1 week away from Thanksgiving, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So today our theme is how do I apply for a U visa if I'm in immigration court? All right, and so we will discuss that theme. And thank you if you're tuning in from Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Like hello, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. So here, the Deportation Defense Live, we are here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants who are facing deportation to make the most out of immigration law, to make the most out of their lives, and to win their cases. All right? So are you facing removal in immigration court? Do you know someone who's facing removal in immigration court? Because if so, you know that it is not easy. All right? It is an uphill battle. The laws are against us. And here at Deportation Defense Live, we are here to maximize your chances of winning that case. So today our theme is how do I apply for a U visa if I'm in immigration court? And so thanks. Thanks for everybody who's tuning in. And if you have questions as we go through it, then just ask your questions. That's part of this. And so send them over, and we'd love to get those questions answered. Before we get to it, I want to just announce. Last Thursday, the Department of Homeland Security made its announcement that it's extending TPS for folks from El Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Nepal. And so if you have TPS from one of those countries, congratulations. I know you've been waiting on this announcement. And so, you can apply to get your work permit extended. You can apply for travel benefits through advanced parole. And I just want you to be aware of that. All right. So that's like a little announcement before we get into the theme. That TPS has been extended again for El Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Nepal through the summer of 2024. All right. So it's like 18 months, more than, it's a year and a half out. Whereas previous to last week, it was set to expire at the end of the year. And so this was a welcome announcement that we've all been waiting for. I was happy to see it. And if you're from those countries, if you have questions about that or are like, hey, how do I get a work permit? How do I get a travel document? Something like that through TPS. Hey, we'd love to help you. Okay? So now I want to switch gears. I want to talk about the theme for today, which is how to get a U visa if you're in immigration court. Well, first of all, we want to talk about the basics, right? Remember, what is a U visa? All right? The U visa is a visa for the victims of crimes. All right? And it's got to be a qualifying crime. So the way it works is if you have been the victim of a qualifying crime, there's a specific list of crimes, a serious or a felonious assault, rape, sexual assault, false imprisonment, there's domestic violence, there's lots of qualifying crimes, kidnapping, stalking, witness tampering. There's all kinds of crimes that are specifically listed and that qualify for a U visa. All right? Theft crimes do not qualify. It's typically crimes that are the most common ones are crimes where it's like violence against the person, not against property, against the person themselves. And so if you've been the victim of one of those qualifying crimes here in the United States, and if you've cooperated with law enforcement in the investigation or the prosecution of that crime, you might be eligible for a U visa, which is to change your immigration status using that crime that happened. Okay? And so that's it's a big deal. That's a big deal. And the way it works is that you apply for a U visa before USCIS, all right, not before the court. In fact, immigration judges cannot approve a U visa. And so now you're asking, hey, wait a second, this is Deportation Defense Live. How do we win a U visa for people in immigration court if you can't win a U visa, quote unquote, in immigration court? And that's what we're here to discuss, all right? The law says you cannot submit and win a U visa to the judge. So we've got to be creative, right? We've got to be lawyers. We got to like help people navigate this. If you've been the victim of a qualifying crime, if you've cooperated with law enforcement in the investigation or the prosecution of that crime, like, how do we navigate this? And now they're trying to deport you. How can we help you to fix this situation? And that's what we're here to talk about. Okay? So I'm gonna get into it. All right, I'm gonna get into it, and I know there's gonna be questions as I get into it. And so if there are questions, hey, send them over. And if you're just joining me right now, my name's Otis Landerholm. I'm grateful to be with you here today. And I'm grateful for everybody who's watching on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And so let's get into it. All right. How do you file for a U visa if you're right now in immigration court? You ready? 3-step process. It's a 3-step dance, everybody. Step 1, what do? You file your U visa with your waivers. You do an outstanding job, a very professional job. You file that U visa to USCIS. That is step 1, not to the immigration court. You file it to USCIS. Step 2, they're going to get you receipts, biometrics, all of that stuff. They're going to process it. But step 2 is, once you have the receipts, file those receipts, sometimes along with a full copy, depending on your judge. Some judges want it, with a full copy of the U visa, right? Along with a motion, and I'll talk about what type of motion to try to the judge, all right? And some judges are willing to consider these things and some judges aren't. So step 2, once you've got those receipts, you file those receipts, sometimes along with the whole U visa itself, to the judge along with a motion. That motion could either be, best case scenario is it's a motion to terminate your court case. All right? Some judges are willing to do that, a motion to terminate or dismiss. If your judge is a nice judge and they're willing to terminate or dismiss your case, now you don't have to worry about court at all, and you'll just be waiting for USCIS to make a decision on your U visa. That's ideal. Some judges are willing to do that. Some judges are not. Okay? If they're not willing to terminate, then your motion should be for administrative closure, where you still have an active case in court. It's just administratively closed, meaning you don't have hearings. They're not going to actively pursue your deportation. And, sometimes an immigration judge will be willing to administratively close your case. Okay? All right? Some judges are not. So if they're not willing to terminate, if they're not willing to administratively close, then you file a motion to put your case on a status docket, which means your case isn't closed. You've got to maintain, you got to let the immigration judge know, hey, here's the status of my U visa. Basically every year or so, you've got to go in and just send them a written document saying, hey, here's my U visa, it's still pending. All right, some judges are willing to do that. Some judges are not. Or the fourth type of motion, right? You got the receipts, you file your U visa, you submit it to the court with a motion to continue. And you can continue your next hearing or your next several hearings over and over again, sometimes based on the pending U visa. Again, some judges are willing to do that. Some judges are not. Okay? So basically, sometimes in court, the judge is willing to say, hey, you've got a valid bona fide application for a U visa. You don't need to worry about facing deportation. Other times, in other states, in other parts of the country, in places that are less immigrant friendly, they will not be willing to take on this type of strategy. All right, so that's a big thing to be aware of. My office exists in California. You might consider moving to California. All right, no kidding. Okay, or to a state with better immigration policies. All right, or to immigration courts with better immigration judges. I'm just saying it like it is, folks. All right. And if the judge isn't going to help you at all, if the judge is not going to help you at all, then your lawyer needs to be creative and needs to file everything that you could possibly argue in court. All right? If the judge is going to push back, you've got to push back too. And that means filing for asylum, cancellation of removal, VAWA, NACARA, any other form of immigration relief that you can submit in immigration court, you do it. You argue everything and you fight that case to the end. And if you lose, you appeal. And if you lose there, you appeal again, all while that U visa is pending. Does that make sense? You want to buy yourself and cause yourself to have as much time as possible for that U visa to get approved or to at least get a bona fide determination. Because once you have a bona fide determination, then you can get a work permit, and typically at that stage, you can renew your motion for termination, your motion for administrative closure, your motion to put on a status docket, whatever that is, right? If you're an immigration court, whichever type of motion your judge is willing to entertain. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? And then ultimately, once your U visa is approved, there, if your case hasn't been terminated yet, there you move to terminate, all right, if it wasn't terminated already, and now your case in court is completely done. And those are the 3 steps. Step 1, file the U visa to USCIS. Step 2, do what you need to do in immigration court with motions to admin close or fight that case all the way. And step 3 is once the U visa is approved, you move to terminate. And now what happens if you've got just a horrible judge, which, some places in certain states in this country, I'm not going to name names, some places in some states, some immigration courts are awful. All right? So what do you do if you have a horrible judge that's just going to deport you, right? While your U visa is pending. I have clients that have gone through that in some bad places in the country. The way that works is if a person is literally deported after all appeals and everything, first of all, appeal all the way, fight it all the way. But if you're ultimately deported, you can still win a U visa. Excuse me. You can still win a U visa even with an executed deportation order. You got to know it. All right, you got to know it. And so, and the way to do that is you got to amend your U visa waivers so you're waiving all the inadmissibility that exists. And if somebody is literally removed, don't come back in until that U visa is approved. Okay? Hope this was helpful. I hope this made sense. If you have questions about it, I'd love to talk it through with you. And that's perfect timing because now I'm getting some questions. And so my first question comes from Sam. Sam 1972, thank you for being here. I appreciate your asking this. So Sam, you say, I'm from Guatemala. I don't have TPS. You think I can fix my immigration status? Well, Sam, we would have to do a full consultation to really talk it through. Okay? So it depends on what's going on in your case. Depends on how you entered, why you entered. Depends on what your current family status is. Are you married? Do you have children? Any of your children in the military? Is your spouse a U.S. citizen? Have you ever applied for a U visa? Are you eligible for one? How about your spouse? How about your kids? any asylum arguments, any NACARA arguments. Like, we got to do the full analysis, right? And so let's do that. And to do that, just pick up the phone, contact our office. We'd love to help you. We can do a consultation. We can set it up for you today. Okay? Just to be clear, the consult wouldn't be today, but the conversation to set it up could certainly be today. And we do have availability still at the end of this week for the actual consult. All right, I see a consult or a question here from Anfaluxus. Anfaluxus Pro Entertainment. Cool. Hello. Cool name. You say, I have a false claim to U.S. citizenship on an I-9 form. Can I still apply for a U visa or any immigration relief? And then you add to it, I had a horrible judge in El Paso, Texas. He deported me during my appeal. All right, so first of all, I'm sorry to hear about your judge in Texas. All right, I've fought cases in El Paso, and it is not easy. All right, it is not easy. And so, so I sympathize with you. And your false claim to U.S. citizenship. So a false claim to U.S. citizenship is not waivable by a family-based immigration process, but it can. It's not automatic, but it can be waived by a U visa. And so yes, the answer to your question is yes, it theoretically can be waived by a U visa if you were the victim of a qualifying crime in the United States and if you cooperated with law enforcement in the investigation or the prosecution of the crime. And you say you have a wife who's a U.S. citizen and 2 daughters as well, well, that'll help towards the waiver, right? That'll help strengthen the waiver arguments to help waive the deportation and the false claim. All right? So thank you. Thank you for being here. If my office can help you navigate that process, pick up the phone, give us a call. We'd love to help you navigate that process. Okay? Spiky G, hello. Good to see you there. Anfaluxus Pro, I see you there. Thank you. Thank you for asking your question too. Sam, thank you for asking your question. Everybody on Instagram, I see you there. Top Drive, Times Square, P. Perez G, I see you. Moron Tamaira, hello. Burumi, hello. Fearlessa, hello. Great to see you all. And thank you so much for being here with me. So I think that's it. Those are all the questions that I got today. If you still have a question, hey, please send it over. I'd love to answer it. To see those, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notifications bell in YouTube. And then you can receive additional legal updates and news as we update those videos. And if you have an immigration case and if you have questions about your immigration status, hey, or if you had TPS and you want to talk that through with the new announcement that came out last week, we'd love to help you. All right, we are here to help. We would love to help. The way to do that, just pick up the phone, give our office a call. We'll schedule you for an absolutely free evaluation, all right, to then determine if you have a case that could qualify for a consult with our consultations team. And we have discounts going on right now for those consults because of Thanksgiving and the holidays. So we'd love to do that. And so that's it. That's it. So thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks to everyone who asked their questions. I see you all here. Thanks to everybody who's being here with me. I really appreciate it. I'm Otis Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And I will see you next week on our next episode of Deportation Defense Live. We have a separate show. I don't know if you're aware of this. On Thursdays. It's called the Empowered Immigrant Live. So if you tune in there, we'll see you there as well. All right. Thank you all so much. Take care. Have a great day.